Ladies and gents, welcome back. Now, with trust in media at an all-time low, people are turning to alternative sources to get information on events happening in their local areas as well as around the world. Now, with this in mind, the usual sources, trusted source here, CBC, how to avoid spreading information about Ukraine. Follow credible news sources when check when an account was created. Think before sharing, say experts. As Russian invasion of Ukraine plays out in real time on social media, it can be difficult to determine whether what we're seeing is an accurate reflection of what's happening on the ground. Jairus Hodson, Associate Professor of Royal Roads University of Canada and Research Chair in Digital Communications for the Public, someone with a really, really long title, told this writer that public is dealing with an information tsunami as events in Ukraine unfold, muddying the waters. She says, our social media algorithms that focus on engagement and Russian disinformation efforts. Now, that's an accusation if I've heard one. I know that algorithms do focus on engagement, and that's why we have clickbait media. But I don't think that these big tech companies are in cahoots with the Russians unless proven otherwise. In this report, they go on to say this.
We know what is happening, how you have to be very careful given the challenges of Russian propaganda, mis and disinformation. And media outlets are certainly not the only people who are facing those challenges. Katie Nicholson is with me this morning. Katie?
Yeah, that's true. So they're not the only ones facing these challenges, because sometimes they fall victim to this as well. So we have here from the BBC News a bunch of examples of how both sides in this conflict have fallen victim or have been perpetrating the scoop. And my inclination is that these organizations are trying to get scoops. They want to get the story out first. So they use false images or make up stories or what have you to get this stuff out. Now, that's my opinion on the matter. It could be more nefarious, motives behind it. But my opinion is that they're trying to get the scoop. And they're trying to justify what they do. Because when all credibility is lost, just who's first to the table tends to be the victor. Now, Ukraine conflict, further false images are shared online. Some videos, such as this clip of an aerial attack from previous conflicts. So you have this one. The second day of Russian invasion of Ukraine has been accompanied by further false misleading imagery on social media claiming to be from the conflict. Some show how military action taken from older conflicts, while other viral videos have been proved difficult to verify. One video clip seen by the BBC and proven to be several years ago has been viewed more than 27 million times in one day, while another showed video game footage. So you have one from the defense of Ukraine here sharing video game footage. Footage of an aerial dogfight is accompanied by the caption, MiG-29 of the Air Force of the Armed Forces destroyed unparalleled Su-35 of the Russian occupiers. However, it's video game footage from the game digital combat simulator world. This isn't the first time that video game footage has been used to illustrate military action. One clip of an old incorrectly labeled footage has been viewed over 18 million times on a video game sharing platform. Here's a case of Russian TV airs video game as Syria war footage. And I mean, it's not even this. I mean, this is old looking game footage. It doesn't even look that realistic, but it was used deliberately for this. Here we have Russian and Ukrainian troops did face off against each other, but this happened in 2014. It claims to show Ukrainian troops facing off with Russian soldiers at an airbase. Well, it does show a confrontation between the Ukrainian forces and the Russian forces. In fact, checkers locally have ascertained that the footage was shot in 2014 during annexation of Crimea and was shot at the Belbek airbase near Sevastopol. The same footage was aired by the BBC Turkish at the time, after it was broadcast by Turkish television. Again, this is happening on both sides. We have another case. Armed forces of Ukraine released a video of the destruction of a Russian military equipment. Again, old video, shared countless times. Here we have Russia began with an airstrike on Ukraine that caused a chain reaction at the Luhansky power plant, Ukraine. Where is this? Well, this is actually an August 2015 Taijin blast in China. This was at a chemical plant, which killed 170 people when containers containing chemicals exploded at the port. BBC reported on this incident. Now, this was also shared on Twitter from German sources.
Ukraine war immer wieder kam die Mahnung, dass mehr gemacht werden muss, dass es mehr Sanktionen geben muss, schärfere Sanktionen.
Yes, this was in China, not in the Ukraine. TikTok virality. One TikTok video has been viewed 27.5 million times and shared by thousands of users who assumed that it was from Ukraine. The clip shows men in military fatigue shouting and laughing in Russian as they parachute over farmland. Although the caption says original sound Roman, users have assumed that the video is Russian troops taking part in the invasion. In fact, it's footage shot by a man who appears to be a member of the Russian armed forces and uploaded to his Instagram in 2015. He uploaded the old footage to his TikTok channel on the 24th of February, the day of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, leading to viewers thinking it was footage from the conflict. Now, I think you guys get the gist of this. This is the idea is that, in my opinion, a lot of these news sources are trying to get the scoop. They want to have a story, or it's a case where they have maybe a story that they heard on the ground and they're looking for imagery to put to their story. In this case, this is Fox News. Ukrainian civilians take up arms. You don't have to look that close to see that these are wooden guns. This is training, if anything, in this scenario. Here we have, go back to your country, brave little girl confronts invading Putin's army. But in fact, this is a Palestinian girl yelling at an Israeli soldier. So this is the case here. It happened to be that this girl's name is Ahed Tamimi. 10 years ago, she was a symbol of the Palestinian struggle. Now, whatever you think of her and that scenario, this is not what's happening today. This is not the news today. So these are, it's just absolutely crazy to me. Now, when I was doing a story last week, I wanted to verify that the woman who was trampled by horses in Ottawa at the protest was okay, and I looked on the web for confirmation of that. I saw story after story after story sharing the same image and the same details because reporters just grab the story and write it. It's absurd. Nobody's fact checking. Nobody's going out there and checking. I spent an entire day looking for information to find out if this woman was okay, just so I could tell you guys here on YouTube. Now, of course, there's the usual tricksters that are making Photoshops. I believe this to be a Photoshop. I searched CNN and did not find this tweet, but people are still, again, it's jokes. It's jokes about how horrible the coverage is for this from the major news networks. Intelligence agencies around the world have spotted American actor Steven Seagal among Russian special forces positioned around the outskirts of Gostomel airfield in Kiev, captured by Russian airborne troops. I mean, I'm assuming that this is just a gag. We have the alleged ID of the Ukrainian saboteur who exploded when trying to plant an IED. So this is internet trolls doing what internet trolls do, keeping journalists honestly, because this is Sam Hyde. They have his name here as Samin Hydenko. Here's Sam Hyde as well. Adam Kazinger, a Twitter checkmark, went ahead and didn't check this. His name has a name. The Ghost of Kiev has a name, and he's absolutely owned the Russian Air Force. Godspeed and more kills. Samueli Hayden, or Samueli Hyde, a 36-year-old who is identified as the pilot. Come on, seriously, get a grip and fact check. This is Sam Hyde, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know the meme, Sam Hyde he's an internet meme. He's a guy who makes funny videos on the internet, and people share his image anytime there's a tragedy or some sort of violent event, and they mail his image to the mainstream media and try to get him to run the story because they know they will. And the amount of times that they actually cover it is absurd. It is absurd. Now, for those that actually are willingly lying for a cause because this is your political cause and this is what you want to do, whether you're on one side or the other, or has nothing to do with this conflict, it has to do with another issue or what have you. Something really stood out to me with an interview that Jordan Peters had recently, and I wanted to share this with you before I finish this video. But this rings a huge bell with me, and I hope it resonates with you guys out there.
I think that if you were to ask someone, is it okay to lie for the greater good? They would say, well, the majority of those people on the extremes would say yes. And then I wonder, well, perhaps that's an indication that you're on the extreme. Perhaps if you have a worldview, I talk about this concept called Weltanschauung.
That's a good idea, man.
Perhaps if you have a Weltanschauung that says that somehow you can't tell a lie and be for the greater good because the truth and the good are tied, then perhaps you're not on the
I
extreme.
think that's right. So I think that's a really smart idea. The idea that if you have a belief system politically that requires any lies to support, then that's an indication that you've gone too far. I think that's a good rule of thumb.
I think
that's a good rule of thumb as well. So, like I said in previous videos, my efforts here are to bring to you guys as much truth as I can. I probably won't scoop the stories because I'm going to do as much due diligence that I can to make sure that what I'm telling you guys, I verified. So, and if I get things wrong, no problem coming back and telling you guys that I got something wrong. So anyway, keep on trucking.